Sheela Raghu. Welcome to Scholastic Conversations. This is season 1, and we're talking about books and children and reading and education. So very nice to have you with us today. Just please introduce yourself first.
Well, as you said, I'm Mrs. Sheela Raghu, and I head the Sanskaar Valley School in Bhopal. My education journey has been rather unique. I stayed in different parts of North India before we settled in Chennai. And once I got married, 4 years after our marriage, we went off to Malaysia. My husband is a lecturer then, a professor now. So we went off there and we settled into life out there. And I started as a teacher in a school there, finished as a principal of an international school, the first Indian to do so in Malaysia. And we decided to come back. So and no other place to be in than in Bhopal.
Right. Okay. So what keeps you motivated to be an educator?
I think it is about the ability to change the lives of young adults, to make them see the true potential in themselves, to make them realize that every single one of them, whatever shape or form they are, and whatever abilities they have, they really count. They matter to this universe, they matter to this world. And it is about getting them to have that confidence in themselves, to be the people that they can be in their lives. And I think the school holds a very, very important portfolio in doing that.
Definitely. And what do you think are the right ways to channelize a child's curiosity and energy?
I think the basic thing one has to do for a start is to children. I think one has to listen to what they have to say, because it is said that children between the ages of 1 and 5 have the curiosity of the whole universe, and they are able to pick up 6 to 7 languages if you teach it to them. They are able to pick up a lot because their mind is open to knowledge at that point in time. So if I were to listen to them for a start, and cull their curiosity with giving them answers that they would understand. I'll give you simple. My son always had my attention all the time that he needed it, but he wasn't spoiled. It was about listening to the child and ensuring that they have that positive energy coming towards them and being a role model. If you are a role model, then it happens naturally. It happens naturally, whether you're in school or as a parent.
Share a success story of a non-reader into reader.
Well, there are many, but I will talk to you about this particular child from South Africa who came and joined us in class 6. He was a whiz at math, and he was fantastic with rugby and cricket on the field. But he refused to do any written work because he hated reading. So I would sit with him at the end of the day, and I had my son's collection of Amar Chitrakathas and Asterix and Tintin comics, and I would just read it out to him. That is all. So it got him very interested in the mythology of India. And by the time he finished with us in 10th standard, the IGCSEs in Malaysia, he had already graduated to reading the abridged form of Ramayana and the Bhagavad Gita.
My God.
You know? But it took him a lot. It took a lot of support, and it was like I said earlier, listening to them, developing their curiosity. That worked.
How do you think reading helps in these times? Our world has changed now.
I think reading does a lot more than just getting a person to have knowledge. I think reading helps you to focus. It is a discipline. It catches your imagination, and it helps you understand the world at large, because all of us think large of ourselves. We think big of ourselves. We believe that we are the people in this world. But I think reading really humbles you. It makes you realize that there are 1,000,001 different kinds of thought about the same topic. There are 1,000,001 ways of looking at it. And of course, it improves your vocabulary, improves the styling of the language that you could write. I'm a history teacher by profession, so it really opens my world to so many possibilities of what history could have been and was from different.
Right. So it does have an impact on academics, right?
Yes, I think so because you see, it is about your language development. It is, like I said, about the style of your writing. It is about the way you're able to express your thoughts. It's about the way that you understand, you comprehend matters. So reading really, is very, very important. Be it on a Kindle, be it, I still prefer the physical book rather than.
Same. Yeah. How powerful is storytelling as a tool for teachers?
Oh, I'll share something with you here. When I was in 8th standard, my teacher brought in this book called Mr. God, This is Anna by a pseudonym called Finn, but his name was Sidney Hopkins, and he wrote this book in 1974. She just started reading the book to us and we were saying, Mr. God, this is Anna, the Indians that we are, Mr.
Right.
God, we're going to be talking to God. Ooh, why is this not a model science class? That was our attitude. But I tell you, it really went over my head. But the quotations that she gave us, the things that she told us about from this book, I will never forget. I will never forget that there are two quotes that are very, very close to my heart.
Okay.
The difference between a person and an angel is easy. Most of an angel is the inside, and most of the person is on the outside. It she a lot of self confidence about ourselves. And another fantastic quote that I remember from that is, the sun is nice, but it's like it lights things up so much that you can't really see very far. The night time is better. It stretches your soul to the stars. The
Love
way
that quote.
he read it to us, it really made you felt you were taller, you were bigger, it made your imagination move. So I think reading to children is fantastic, but again, it has to go with the parent making that the habit rather than sitting on the phone, in my opinion.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
What's your take on the role of library in your school or librarians?
I think the library, in my opinion, because I'm such a booky person, if one would that. I want to go and smell the old encyclopedia. My eyes sparkle even when I talk about it. So you can imagine what I am in a
I can see now.
library. So it opens your world to so many possibilities of information. And it could be a comic, it could be an illustrated book, it could be the Guinness Book of World Records that I was really addicted to. It could be, the leather bound encyclopedia. It could be a children's book. The possibilities that are out there in a library are endless, right? Going and sitting at a computer to look at the latest information on the encyclopedia. It could be the physical book as well. And it is the librarian's job to open that world to the children, to tell them these are the books. And it's not saying that lexing age is 5 and therefore you stay there. It is not about that. It is about saying, these are the books that you can explore. It is about showing them a whole shelf, giving them, ideas about what they can be, conducting treasure hunts in the library. I mean, I could go on forever.
So share your memories of a visit to a book fair when you were little, or even now as head of institution.
Uh, okay. The first book fair I went to when I was in class 3, and we were in Kanpur at that time. And I was a very timid child, though becoming a principal is a different journey to talk about forever again. But I was a very timid child. I was holding on to my mother's hand. And we came to this first bookstall where there was this puzzle book. And the puzzle book really took my attention. It was word searches. In those times, that is what happened. Everything is all the word searches, there were missing books, and even without stopping to think that mummy had to pay the 3 rupees 75 paisa for it. You know,
Right.
I picked up a pencil and I started filling it out. I was so fascinated. That is my first memory of going and then we came back home with our first big dictionary, and believe you me, it was nearly half
In those days, we had
more
those.
than yeah. You physically had it was huge, and we still treasure it. My brother and I fight over who should be. But it's gone yellow. But that was
Uh,
So those two things, my puzzle book for 3 rupees 75 paisa and the dictionary.
Wow. And finally, any advice for parents who want their kids to read more?
I think again, I'll tell you what I did. Even when my son was a year old, I bought him books that were, lots of pictures, lots of colors, and he would drool over them. They had plastic covers, so he would drool over them. He would, try to bite them. It didn't matter, but it was something that I wanted him to be tactile about. That was the first thing. The second thing was that I would sit and read to him and with him every day. So when he became about 7 years old and we were in Malaysia, our standard weekend trip every other weekend was to go take a train, go to the biggest bookstore, sit down there, read a book, go for lunch, come back, continue reading, go for a movie in the evening, and then go home. It
It's
was
a beautiful tradition.
it was standard, and we continue to do that. Even he's doing his PhD right now, but even when he's in the States, when I go there, for sure we will go into a bookstore somewhere and sit down and read at least for a couple of hours. So it is about being the mirror that the child sees. If you read, if you are looking at information and talking about that information, sharing that information, that makes a fantastic, positive change in the lives of children, because they do understand that it is important. And storytelling is the most important thing, I think. Again, I created a story with all the family members, and every night the family members would be heroes saving the day. And normally they were women saving the day, and the men were the sidekicks.
As should be the case.
As should be the case. So it's about getting the child to understand the world that is out there, to let their imagination flow, to let them understand it. Could be in any language. It doesn't have to be English. It could be in any language that you choose to do. Tell them stories, talk to them. It is the connection that you create with the child that will help them emulate exactly what you want them to do.
Exactly. Thank you so much, ma'am, for speaking to us today. It was such a fun conversation. I wish it could last longer, but we have to go now. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you
It
again.
was my pleasure, Trishita. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.